Hello, my name is Dr. Ben Bernstein, and I am a clinical psychologist and educator, and I'm in Berkeley, California. It is an honor and pleasure to be part of this series of people who are speaking from their hearts about how we can all make this a better world, a more peaceful world. I'm going to speak today about a formulation that I've come to over my 74 years and what I've learned and I'm learning about myself and about what I would call the path to optimal living. And it's a three-step path. And the three steps are accept, grow, and contribute. Accept, grow, and contribute. So I'll speak about each of them. Let's start with accept. If we look at what's happening in this most challenging time in our world, a global pandemic, civil unrest, political divisiveness, particularly in the United States, what we can see is not acceptance at all, but actually a lot of fighting and a lot of resistance. I wish this pandemic would go away. I don't like people of another color. The other party just is wrong. Learning how to accept, and by that I want to qualify that immediately, that I don't mean love, and I don't mean embrace, and I don't mean kumbaya, I mean just accept. That we accept what's going on. We accept that there is a global pandemic. We accept that we have people of very different cultural backgrounds, different races, different religions. We accept that people will feel differently about what's going on in our society. When we don't accept, we're caught in what in Sanskrit would be raga devesha, attraction or aversion. I want this, I don't want that. I like this, I don't like that. When we're caught in this trap of attraction or aversion, we're always grasping or we're pushing away. Nothing will ever be enough, and nothing will ever really satisfy us. So there has to be a more peaceful way, a way of more equanimity. And what is that? That's acceptance. One of the most difficult things that we are faced with as human beings, first of all, is accepting ourselves. There's so much in our culture and in our education systems that doesn't actually lead to self-acceptance. It's mostly, in terms of education, about competition, being better than, scoring higher than, having more than. That's not acceptance. To learn to accept yourself, to learn to actually love who you are, can lead to a life of much, much more fulfillment rather than grasping, disliking, pushing away, grabbing toward, and all of that unproductive behavior. I know this personally very deeply because for many years in my life, I was not happy with who I was. I didn't like my body. I didn't like my religion. I didn't like almost you name it. And I was a pretty disturbed individual. On the outside, I was operating just fine, winning awards and getting accolades and being successful. But I want to redefine being successful as reaching your own potential so that you can contribute to the world. Not being successful so that I can outscore somebody, outrun somebody, have more than somebody. So to go back to just this simple business of accepting, how hard this is, how challenging this is to do. The pandemic is a terrible, terrible challenge. Terrible in the most challenging way. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying and are ill. The countless number of people who are affected by this, losing loved ones. How do we accept what's going on? It's not a complicated process. It just means standing back and witnessing when you start to wish something were different, and it's just the way it is. So that leads to the second step, which is grow. Once we accept what is, then we can ask ourselves the question, how can I grow from this? Notice the question is not, why is this happening to me? Or what am I supposed to learn? No, it's how can I grow from this? This is a very also challenging question, because most of the time we're taught what we're supposed to learn, rather than to go inside and ask ourselves, how can I grow from this? I would challenge everyone listening to think about everything that happens to each of us every day as an opportunity for our growth, to become bigger. I mean, in terms of our heart, to become wiser, to become more giving. We can all keep growing. All we have to do is ask ourselves, how can I grow from this? And once we actually start to grow and feel this growth, we come to the third step, which is to contribute. What's the point of growing? So that I should have more money, or I should have more property, or I should have more of this or more of that? No. We're here, every one of us is here to contribute. The point of our growing is, how can we contribute to the greater good? I think of my 74 years like the growth of a tree. And this is a fairly recent formulation when I started to really stand back and look at all that's happened. For many years, setting down the roots and growing was a very, very difficult process. Really working hard to just survive sometimes, to just press through. But that growth, through the help of spiritual teachers and family and my dear wife and therapists and workshops, and opening myself up to what the possibilities were and are, I kept growing. And that growing now, just like a tree, gets big and strong and starts to bear fruit. That's why we're here, to bear fruit that can be shared, that can nourish other people. It's not about my ego, it's about how I can serve. Accept, grow, and contribute. I ask you just to think about that for a moment. What are we contributing to? Well, when I was a teenager and the first pictures of the Earth were shot back from space, I was mesmerized to see this one planet, or I should say a planet of one whole, one sphere. We are one. These are the deepest teachings of the Vedas. Atma, Brahma, we are all one. So if we are one, we live in a we world, not an I world. In a we world, we are each here to contribute to the greater good, the whole, to serve Dharma. I've come to understand the word Dharma as that which sustains. Actions that sustain us individually so that we can be healthy and strong, so that we can sustain the greater good. We are beings of light. This light is always shining, even like the sun when it's covered with the darkest clouds, the sun is always there. When we accept and grow and contribute, this light shines out from us and nourishes those around us, giving to each generation the fruits of our experience so they can grow further, deeper, wider. I so appreciate this opportunity to share part of my journey. And I look forward to our continuing conversation to make this world a better place, a more peaceful place, a union. Thank you.